If people are making money with support and resistance, Fibonacci, harmonics, data-based approaches, don't even get me started about lunar cycle trading. Like, if there's just a plethora and an abundance of strategies out there that if you just followed, you could probably find some sort of edge in the markets, then why are still 90% of people failing at trading? Now, are some of these ways of trading not profitable? Sure, yes, but there is still an argument to be made that there are so many ways of trading and extracting value from the markets that people are proving every single day. Why are still so many people failing at trading? Because when you place a trade, you already have a 50% chance of being correct. You can only go up or down in the market. So if you go long on a position, it can only go up or down, right? You have a 50% chance of being correct. So again, I ask you, why are people still failing at this? Because there are so many models where you can at least get a 51% edge. And if you can at least get 51% of being correct 51% of the time, and you risk 1% to make 2%, you mathematically have a profitable strategy. Now, again, I know I'm generalizing, but that is the basics. So then I ask you again, why are 90% of people still failing at trading? Because the unsexy, boring answer of all this is in this video right now. I'm going to go over this, and if you take this video seriously, it can only add value to you as a trader. I don't care what strategy you choose. I don't care what strategy you try, but this video will add value to you. So without further ado, let's get into my strategy that I personally have been using since I woke up from doing all this crazy nonsense in the trading markets that has kept me profitable, that has kept me consistent, and that has literally improved my psychology tenfold. And actually, I used this strategy just today where I'm going to show and break down a trade that I did on exactly how I did it and made $500 doing so. Literally doing just this. And if you get value from this video, make sure you drop a like, make sure you drop that subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into it right now. Okay, so this was a strategy that I actually used today where it helped me build and create and make money from this trade. So let's get into it right now. So before we break down this exact trade and how this exactly worked out, I want you guys to understand this is what we're going to be going over, and this is the meat and potatoes of the strategy, right? Most YouTubers, they want you to be drugged through the entire video to get that watch time. Guys, I want you to get value, okay? So this is the meat and potatoes of the strategy. So the first thing you have to understand is everybody in the world, when it comes to trading, is competing against you. Okay, you are trading against the entire world. And if you understand that there is only 10% of people out there that is consistently being profitable, then why in the world would you do what 90% of people are doing in order to be unsuccessful from trading? It's the same thing. If you ever read the book, The Atomic Habits, they talk about you have to adapt on what the 10% or the minority are doing, not what the majority are doing, because they're failing. And it's the same thing with trading. In trading, it is this crazy game of you have to constantly fight your human instincts, because your human instincts are what 90% of the people are doing. The 10% over here, they are okay and effective at fighting their emotional human instincts and using logic instead, letting the trades play out, sticking to the rules, positive risk management, constantly learning, journaling, the unsexy, boring work. The 10% are doing just that. What the 90% are doing is they're hopping from strategy to strategy. So as soon as you take a loss somewhere, you hop to another strategy you see on YouTube, and maybe that strategy that you did lose, that you took a loss on or a couple losses, it's still a long-term profitable strategy if you give it time, but you're not respecting the law of large numbers. You're sitting here wanting to have this ego-driven, emotional-driven greed where you have to win every single time, and you have this crazy expectation management of being funded in a week or making $10,000 a day or whatever the heck it is. You have all of these crazy false hopes that are causing you to hop from strategy to strategy where you're never going to realize the mathematical capabilities of what trading can give you, right? If you do a backtest session and you constantly find all of these models that are actually profitable and making money in the backtest, but then you forward test it and it just goes out the window, it's because you're sitting here letting the emotional state of hopping from strategy to strategy. You're not respecting the law of large numbers. If you do 100 trades in backtest and you see that you get an average of a 60% win rate and you get a profit factor of XYZ, but then when you're live trading, you freak out when you get a loss and then you hop to a whole nother trading strategy, you're going to get terrible results, right? So all of these things, all of these habits, and we could go on, but these are the main principles, right? The only one trades. I'm sure everyone here watching this video has fell victim to this, where they wake up one day and they're just like, you know what? I'm only going to do this one trade. They could say they stick to US 30 and NASDAQ just like I do when I trade my Forex pairs, right? Or when I'm futures trading and I'm only sticking to a handful of assets. But they see this influencer on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube say, oh, look, I made all this money with this asset here. So then they hop onto the chart and they're like, yeah, I'll just take this one trade. Or they'll open up a paper trading account, or they'll get a small challenge on a prop firm and say, this is my play account. Guys, this is a business. At the end of the day, trading is a solo business. This is an opportunity for you to build a solo business. If you were out in the real world and you built a physical business, right? If you got in all the legal structure work, the LLCs, all this stuff, right? Would you, after all this time, money, blood, sweat, and tears into building a physical business, would you then just start making emotional decisions on the fly? Well, you know, just this one day we didn't make a lot of money, so we're going to change our entire business model. No, you would give it quarter over quarter, week over week, month over month. You would want to see a large data set before even trying to change a strategy. But in trading, if people don't get, you know, if the 90%, if you guys do not get an emotional just gratification of winning a trade on the first trade you ever take, you want to hop to a whole nother strategy. You can't do that. You have to allow the averages, the law of large numbers, take into effect of a profitable trading system. Now, are there trading systems that do need tweaked because they're just not good? Yes, but you have to be able to logically divide emotion into actual logic of, hey, I need to put a little bit more effort into a model. The feel trades, right? The feel trades where I just feel like we're going up. You have no data, you have no statistics, you have no edge, you have no trading plan that goes with the strategy that you're doing or the trade that you're doing. You just feel like it's going to go in that direction. Stop doing that. Again, would you build a business? Do you see your favorite sports team just changing the entire playbook because they feel like it's going to work? Like, no, you need to practice it. You need to work at it. You need to orientate it. And then you need to build it and execute, right? But so many people, they do all this stuff and they treat it like a hobby. And guys, if you treat trading like a hobby, you're going to get hobby results. You need to be extremely obsessed with this. Just like with anything in life, think of anybody that is hyper successful. Do you think they're just treating that as a hobby? Do you think that they just was sitting here just doing all these emotional trades and all these emotional things by just feeling like it? No, they use logic in every single business decision. They have zero data. Every single trade that you take, you have to have some type of statistical edge. I don't care what it is. And to only do that, you have to do the boring work. You have to journal. You have to constantly learn your model to make sure it's working for XYZ market conditions. You have to have good positive risk management. You have to stick to the rules so that way your data that you're journaling is actually effective. So you have to have all this. If you have zero data and you're just clicking a button because the market's going down, or you click a button just because you see a green candle, you're a gambler. You're treating this like a casino. And hey, it's a free market. If that's what you want to do, sure, do it. But I want to be a business. This is my business. And I don't want to sit here and just take field trade even though I have zero data for it. Memory journaling. So some people, they think that yes, journaling is good and they acknowledge that journaling is good, but then they want to sit here and just try to remember every single trade that they took. Guys, let's be honest. Everyone's done this. Everyone thinks that they can just remember all of the trades they took, and you're going to overwhelm yourself. The whole art of journaling is to empty your mind onto paper, or empty your mind onto a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, or however you want to journal it. But just get those thoughts on paper, or get those thoughts on some type of digital thing that you can keep track of. You will never know what both your physical performance, your actual performance trading, and your psychology. So many people don't track their psychology. They don't just every single day at the end of a trading session just type out a paragraph or two on how they felt that day, how they felt into the trade. If they didn't take a trade that day, why did they not take a trade that day? Like, no one thinks about journaling their psychology, but you're never going to know what makes you tick. You're never going to know what makes you, and you're never going to know what makes you emotionally trigger if you never track this stuff. And the same thing for your performance. You're never going to know what is optimally being, what is a high performing trade or a A+ setup. You're not going to know none of that if you don't track the performance. And then the last thing is shiny objects. Again, you have to stop doing what 90% of the people are doing here. If 90% of the people, this is the most silent killer when it comes to traders. Say you get extremely disciplined, right? You get extremely disciplined and you're like, okay, I'm actually going to stick to a strategy. And then as soon as it starts to get boring, you hop to another strategy because you start to get bored. Guys, real trading is boring. Real trading is extremely boring because once you stop stimulating your brain on learning all this new stuff, once you get a strategy and you just lock it down, it should be boring. It should just be like popping up your computer, sitting down, and doing your analysis before the session, and then just executing. That's literally it. It shouldn't be something where you're constantly trying to add to it and, maybe supplement it with another strategy. Guys, just if something's worked, don't fix it. So really think about this before we break down this strategy, this figure 8 model that I have here. Really think. Start doing what the 10% are doing so you get the results that the 10% are doing. Stop getting the results that the 90% are doing because you understand that the 90% are terrible at trading, that the 90% are allowing their emotions to get in the way of long-term success. What is the strategy? This is the strategy, the figure 8 model. If you're someone that has terrible trading habits, if you're someone that has terrible work ethic when it comes to trading, if you constantly are second guessing yourself, you have no confidence, you keep over trading, revenge trading, doing everything that is just killing your portfolio, killing your bank account because you're blowing money on challenges constantly, I want you to just breathe real quick. Understand that if you really want to take this serious, think of the next 8 trades as just they're out the window. You are down 8%. Count the next 8 trades that you do. And again, I'm not giving you financial advice. This is not trading advice. This isn't advice where I want you to take it as a personal level. This is what I've done. And I'm speaking from a third-person perspective right now, all right? What I did was when I was just constantly revenge trading and doing all this crappy stuff and having bad habits, I said, you know what? I listened to something by Mark Douglas, and he said, if you give yourself 8 trades to just stick with it and understand that you don't care what happens in the next 8 trades, this starts to help you build a habit. Just like how in the real world, if you do something X amount of times, you start to build a habit. In the trading world, he noticed statistically it was around 8 trades. If you just done something by the book 8 times, you started to build a healthy trading habit. So this is what I call the figure 8 trading model, inspired by Mark Douglas. So if you think of a racetrack, right? You got a racetrack, a figure 8 racetrack. I think everybody here knows what a figure 8 racetrack is. You got little points on the track where you have little pit stops, that I like to say. So I already have all these lines here. I was teaching my students this the other day. So you have the start line right here, right? Let's just picture this is the start line. This is your first trade. Every single trade for the next 8 trades, I want you just to write them off. You're down, you lost, you're risking 1% every single trade, you're down 8%. Just have the expectation management, not to win every trade, not to make money. The only expectation is to understand that you're going to lose the next 8 trades. That's it. And what I want you to do, and what I've done, again, this is not financial advice, this is not trading advice, this is no type of legal advice. What I did was I asked myself these 4 questions, and if you're not brutally honest with yourself, if you do not take this serious, you will not get the results that you're trying to get. Okay? What was the model? So just stick to one trading model. Stop sitting here having flashy object syndrome trying to catch every move of the market. What was the model? What was the result? Did you win or lose? Was it a 1% loss or a 2% gain? What was your risk? Were you risking 1%, a quarter percent, 0.5%? What were your risk? And then the 4th one, which is the most important one, what would you have done before? Okay, so when you're letting these trades play out, when you're doing going up here, when you're doing what the 10% are doing, letting the trade play out, what would you have done before? Be honest. Would you have cut it when you were in drawdown? Would you have cut it when you were in profit a little bit because you lost the last trade? What would you have done? And do this 8 times. So just like how this track, if you see here, there's a little pit stop here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then finish line, that's 8, right? So you have 8 different little points on this figure 8 racetrack. So just picture it like that. You're on a racetrack, you're trading, you got 8 trades. So I call it the figure 8 model. So then when you get back to the finish line here, when you get all the way back to the start, you should have 8 trades with this data on every single one of those trades. Then you can look back, really see the benefits of what it looks like just to stick to a model for 8 trades. And again, make this a paper account. Don't be sitting here trading up an actual prop challenge. I tell people this all the time. Stop trying to trade prop challenges while you're also learning something. That's like going and taking a driving test and trying to learn how to drive while you're in the driving test. Guys, these prop challenges are meant to test what you have studied. Don't be studying while you're in a prop challenge. It makes absolutely no sense. So after you do all this, you're going to get data that can only make you better, that can only make you a part of this 10%, and start practicing and building habits that are a part of this 10%. Let's see how I broke down this trade and this one singular trade that I took that for me made me $500 today. So you can see here, this is a very simple strategy. Now this is my custom indicator that I worked with my developer on building. You can see here the Wolf Sweep range break. And all this is doing is it's building a range for the first part of the morning. This is the oils chart, the oils futures chart for my Top Step account. And you can see all I'm doing is I'm waiting for a break of the range, setting my limit order for when it comes back to retest that range. And then we hit a take profit for a 1.25 risk to reward. Very simple. Very freaking simple. Guys, trading does not have to be difficult. Trading does not have to be, you have 1,000 different steps to do before taking one singular trade. Now, I understand there are some models that are like that. And if that works for you, if you're very analytical and you need that, definitely do it, right? I'm not downing any strategy. But when it comes to something very simple, it doesn't have to be complicated to trade. It really doesn't. The most complicated thing that you are ever going to notice in trading is your psychology. That's why this video is the most important video on all of YouTube when it comes to just managing your psychology. You see all these videos on all these different strategies, but if your psychology sucks, the strategy will never take care of you. So you can see here, these little circles that I have circled here. Okay, when I started going into profit here, what happened? I was emotional. I was like, oh my gosh, right? This is, past Austin. This was me when I was very emotional and had bad habits, right? And this is where most traders really fail. They go into a little bit of drawdown. They're freaking out. They finally get into some profit and they get scared. People get scared, and I'm sure you probably empathize with this. People get scared when they're in profit, but when they're in drawdown, shout out to one of my students, Mr. H. He said this while we were in this trade actually, because I live trade in front of my Discord group Wednesday through Friday. So if you want to join that, the link is in the description below to become a Pack Trade Group member. But in this trade here, he said, we always allow trades to hit our stop loss, but it's very hard to sometimes let your trade hit your TP. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, that I'm building a community where people are already starting to think critically like this. So again, shout out to Mr. H. I'll drop a screenshot on this video right now for that. He said, we always allow the trades to hit our stop loss. So I'm going to let it come up and hit my take profit. That's what the market was, wanting me to do. And see, so we go into profit. So let's say you were trying to practice discipline and you let the trade play out, and then boom, you're in drawdown. You're freaking out. Everything's going crazy. You're like, oh my gosh, I see a little bit of red. I need to pull it out, right? So some people are going to, that's what she said. Some people are going to sit here and take the trade out altogether, or as soon as they get into break even, then they cut it out. You see so many bad habits playing out in this singular trade right here. It's not even funny. And then what happens here? Maybe you did let all this happen, and then after being halfway into your stop loss, it then starts to hit your take profit. And what happens? You're so close to your take profit, you just want to close. You just want to close that profit, post it on Twitter, and shout your ego out and say, I told you so. Trading is worth it. Look at this, mom. Hit my mic here. But you sit here and you see there are so many ways that people lost if they were trading this very simple open range breakout trading strategy, which again, my members get for free in addition to the Discord as a Pack Trade Group member. Link is in the description below. But you see so many reasons for this to play out where people would have cut profit here, cut for a loss here, cut early, and you would never allow for the mathematical process to play out. You would never allow for the long term, the law of large numbers for this trade to play out because people want to act on emotion. So you can see, I practiced with this trade right here. I practiced everything the 10% was doing. I was letting the trade play out. I stuck to my rules. My rules did not say when I was in drawdown to cut the trade. My rules did not say when I get very close to profit, I'm going to lock out. I'm going to let the trade play out. I stuck to positive risk management. I was risking 1.25%. I'm constantly learning. I'm always journaling these trades, which is this one right here. And I'm doing the unsexy, boring work. Guys, so many people are going to click off this video because it's not some flashy strategy that I'm telling you step by step how to execute trade, because there's so many models out there. I don't have to tell you that. You can go on YouTube and find so many trading strategies. This is my personal one that I have coded into an indicator, but you don't have to trade this way. You can trade so many very simple and complex ways and make money from the markets. But if you don't do this, you will never get the results of this. So I really hope this video was valuable to you. And if you did like it, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. And comment down below if you really want to just tell me like what other types of content that you would like to see like this, or strategies, or anything. Drop some video suggestions below on what you would like to see. And until next time, like I say at the end of every single video, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay grinding on your goals and never let anyone tell you that you can't do something they have never done themselves. And I will see you later.